Not only do the Phoenix Suns have two all-star caliber players in Chris Paul and Devin Booker, but we're finally beginning to see Deandre Ayton come into his own as a player and show some of that really high upside that made him so highly sought after coming out of college. After years and years of people questioning if he was worth the first overall pick, he's finally starting to break out and really show what he's capable of. I want you to pay attention to how he orchestrates the offense on this play. He's going to set a screen for Crowder, and then he pops out to the top of the key before attacking Valanciunas to the elbow. Bridges is going to come up for a handoff, but that's not going to be there, so Crowder comes up and Ayton initiates the handoff before screening Murphy for Crowder. Crowder doesn't attack the space that Ayton was able to create with the screen, so Ayton does the smart thing and just goes right back to setting screens. Instead of setting a hard screen, he's actually going to slip the screen because the Pelicans start to cheat with anticipating a switch, allowing the option for Crowder to find him. Now, Valanciunas does a good job of cutting that lane off, but Crowder ultimately gets the ball to him where Herb commits to Ayton before moving on to Chris Paul, and then Ayton is just going to put up the simple mid-range jumper. So what's the point of all of this if all he did was take a simple catch and shoot mid-range? It's not the end result of the play that speaks to what Ayton is capable of. It's all of the stuff that happened prior to the shot that gives us insight into just how impactful of a player that Ayton can be. His active screening and willingness to do the dirty work are just as valuable as his highly efficient scoring. I've been harping on it for a while, but Deandre Ayton might be one of the most underrated mid-range scorers in the entire league. His in-between game is really starting to show through on a nightly basis. As a matter of fact, of all the players in the playoffs that are attempting over 3 mid-range field goals per game, he's the third most efficient among all of them, and he's also one of only 3 players shooting 60% or higher on mid-range shots. If there was going to be an area of the game where we saw Deandre Ayton start to build on his scoring arsenal, it was going to be the mid-range. He's a known lob threat, he's a fantastic finisher around the basket, but the integration of a mid-range game into his overall offensive toolkit has allowed his game to elevate to a level that we haven't seen from him before. It's not just the catch and shoot shots either, he's flashing some ability to get to his spots, as you're going to see here. Him and Chris Paul run this pick and pop with Ayton popping to the baseline for Paul to find him. He draws Valanciunas on the pump fake, and then he takes him off the dribble before getting to his spot for the jumper. The way that he stepped up in Devin Booker's absence to brunt some of the scoring load for Phoenix deserves way more recognition than it got. In 3 games without Devin Booker against the Pelicans, he averaged 23.3 points on 69.3% true shooting, which is some really nice efficiency. You couple that scoring output with the 11 rebounds, and those are starting to look like some all-star numbers. His footwork in the post is also really strong, and he's able to maneuver his way to get off his hook shot that's been money so far in the playoffs. Here, Ayton is going to flash for Shamet and get the ball, and look how he hits Jonas Valanciunas with a pump fake, then takes him off the dribble before getting into that soft hook shot that he loves to go to and just guiding the ball into the basket. Here he gets the ball near the post, and he pump fakes and actually shows a pretty solid first step to take Valanciunas off the dribble before getting to his spot for another floater hook. Now, we all knew that he's a lob threat, but he's clearly more than just a lob threat at this point. He's shooting 65% from the mid-range and 86% at the rim, according to Cleaning the Glass. That's just ridiculous efficiency. But there's another aspect to his game that I feel doesn't get enough attention. Now, I hinted at it earlier in the video, but Deandre Ayton offers a lot of playmaking on and off the ball. Look at this play and how active he is as a screener. Chris Paul calls for another screen, and when Ayton gets the ball on the roll, Valanciunas and Jones both come to double him. Ayton knows that Crowder is in the corner though, so he makes a really nice feed to him on the cut for an easy layup. He's also been good at passing out of the high post. He gets the feed from Paul after they trap Chris Paul up top, and the Pelicans leave the weak side completely undermanned, with Valanciunas scrambling to try and get back into position. The result is Bridges being left wide open in the corner for an easy catch and shoot 3. Here's another great look at his playmaking outside the paint. He capitalizes on a huge lapse in defensive judgment when the Pelicans fail to stay with Crowder, and Ayton hits him with a perfect bounce pass for an easy 2 points. It's really easy to look at his assist numbers and just write off his playmaking as a non-factor, but it really is more than what you're going to see in the stat sheet. His screening is vital to their ability to put points on the board, so much so that not only is he leading the NBA in screen assists per game in the playoffs, but his screen assists result in an additional 17 points per game for the Suns. So not only has he been a walking 20 points and 10 rebounds every night throughout the postseason so far, but he's essentially adding another 17 points with just his screening ability. Now, defensively, he's been incredibly important to their success. The defensive dynamic between him and Mikal Bridges when guarding the pick and roll has been as airtight as you could possibly ask it to be. Here, him and Mikal are guarding McCollum and Valanciunas in their two-man game, and Mikal does a great job of fighting over the screen and continuing to pressure while Ayton shades him to the middle instead of allowing him to go baseline. Ayton does a great job of switching directions and staying with CJ on the drive, and they're going to force him into a miss. Similar situation here, Bridges fights over the screen to stay with Ingram, and he funnels Ingram right into Ayton, and then they're just going to hound Ingram and get him to put up an incredibly difficult fall-away shot. The reason Mikal Bridges is able to risk going over screens as often as he is because Deandre Ayton is often there and able to provide help if Bridges falls behind. He's just a reliable defender in most situations. Sure, he's not going to be switching onto guards and coming out to the perimeter and locking guys down. He's been able to do that occasionally, but it's not necessarily his strong suit. But he's been more than capable of anchoring your defense and providing rim protection. In the playoffs so far, players are shooting only 39% from the field when being guarded by Ayton. That's the best defensive field goal percentage of any player in the NBA guarding 15 or more field goals per game. He's also contesting the 5th most field goals per game of any player in the postseason. So not only is he starting to come into his own as an offensive weapon, but he's also playing a massive role in the Suns' defensive game plan. Now remember, this is a guy that was the first overall pick in 2018, which is considered to be one of the best draft classes of the last 10 years. This is a draft that had guys like Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So now we always see the question asked, was Deandre Ayton worth it? Yeah, he was pretty easily worth it. People don't seem to be fully grasping the fact that he's going to be an all-star level center. The Suns got a trip to the finals with him playing a major role, and they're potentially making another trip back this year. That alone makes him worth it. The only reason his numbers don't look a lot better on paper is the fact that he's a pretty low usage guy. While he's incredibly impactful, he's not operating with the ball in his hands, and the Suns are just better served running the offense through CP3 and Booker for now. The Suns are going to face a really interesting question this offseason because they didn't give Ayton a rookie max extension, and now he's set to hit restricted free agency in the offseason. I think it's more than likely the Suns will match whatever offer he gets, and they'd be stupid not to. But if any team is able to pry him away from Phoenix, they're going to have an all-star caliber center just waiting to break out. So do you think that Deandre Ayton will become an all-star? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Real quick, if you're new to the channel, only 5% of the people who see my videos are subscribed. So if you enjoyed the video and you love the NBA, be sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video. It's totally free and it helps me out a ton. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.